Today on NewsWatch, New Yorkers head to the polls, see why today's primary battles matter so much for both parties. Plus, another terror attack in Jerusalem. Hear what officials know so far about yesterday's bus bombing. And
we play these thoughts, we have 70,000 a day. Let's say if you have 10% of those are negative, that's 7,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of negative thoughts.
why the Battle of the Bulge is really a battle in your brain. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. It is primary day in New York. Frontrunners Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are leading in the polls, and Trump is now vowing to win enough delegates to clinch the Republican nomination and prevent a contested convention. But Ted Cruz, John Kasich, and Bernie Sanders are not giving up just yet. Caitlin Burke has the story.
A big win in New York could tip the scales for both the Republican and the Democratic frontrunners in this year's race for the White House. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump have each suffered losses in recent contests, shifting the momentum to their rivals.
We have won 8 out of the last 9 caucuses and primaries.
While wins in New York for Trump and Clinton are expected, the margins of those victories are also important. Trump needs to capture more than 50% of the votes statewide if he wants to be positioned to win all of the state's 95 GOP delegates. That would put him one step closer to avoiding a contested convention.
We've got to vote, and Cruz is way down in the polls.
Meanwhile, Sanders is hoping for a close race in the Empire State. A loss by 10 points for him means he'll need to win 80% of the remaining delegates to clinch the nomination. Despite a predicted loss in New York, Ted Cruz hasn't lost momentum. He's hoping to sweep up more delegates this weekend, all the while never taking his focus off of November.
Because if I'm the nominee, we win the general election. We're beating Hillary in the key swing states. We're beating Hillary with independents. We're beating Hillary with young people.
For now, Cruz, Kasich, and Sanders have all moved on from New York to other states. Trump and Clinton the only two staying in their home state to watch the results come in. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is vowing to hold the perpetrators accountable for Monday's terror attack in Jerusalem. The attack injured at least 20 people and destroyed 2 buses. As Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, this is another front facing Israelis during an ongoing wave of terror.
Moments after the explosion, police and emergency medical teams rushed to the scene of the attack. We're about 100 yards or so from the incident that took place, where one Jerusalem bus exploded and set a second bus nearby on fire. It took Jerusalem police time to determine exactly what happened.
The facts are, there was an explosive device that went off inside a bus, and there are wounded people. There are many other subjects we need to investigate. I imagine that within half an hour, maybe more, we'll be able to definitely identify who laid down the device, who's behind it. We're hearing all sorts of claims of responsibility by groups for this incident.
The attack represents the first bus bombing in Jerusalem in more than 10 years. One of the last ones, marked by this memorial, took place here in 2004. At the time, Palestinian terrorists frequently targeted buses, and Israelis hope Monday's attack won't be the beginning of a new wave of terror attacks against those buses. The attack also came as Israelis are preparing for the Feast of Passover. Meanwhile, Palestinians in Gaza passed out candy celebrating the attack. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine called it a positive and important development of the Intifada. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Armed Taliban jihadists staged a coordinated assault on the capital of Afghanistan today, killing at least 28 people. It began with a suicide car bombing that claimed most of those lives and left more than 320 people wounded. A spokesperson for the Afghan Interior Ministry said the car bombing was then followed by an assault by armed militants. Afghan officials say the attack targeted an agency similar to the U.S. Secret Service. Here in the U.S., Houston is being pounded by heavy and dangerous rain that just won't let up. Storms have already dumped more than a foot of water, flooding homes and major highways, cutting the power to thousands of homes. The 20-inch downpour was deadly for drivers. At least 5 bodies were found submerged in vehicles. One daring escape was captured in a live report from a local ABC station.
You gotta get out. What can I do? Swim.
Please remember the easy phrase, turn around, don't drown. Stay out of the rising water.
Sad to say, even more rain is expected in the area over the next few days. The downpours won't be as heavy, but flood warnings and watches remain in effect for much of southern Texas. Japan's southern quake-hit area was rattled by a strong aftershock today, and the death toll rose again to 45 after searchers found a woman's body buried under rubble from a landslide. In Ecuador, the death toll from last week's quake has now risen to more than 400. Chuck Holton was on the ground there within 24 hours of the disaster and brings us this report.
Military, police, and search and rescue teams are descending on the northern coast of Ecuador as the search for survivors continues. Many remote villages have yet to be reached with help. And in the cities, food and water is becoming scarce.
The government of Ecuador is sending over 14,000 troops into the areas hardest hit by the recent quake, and they have to go by air because the roads in there are all but impassable. These troops are leaving throughout the night and into tomorrow to try to help the people who are still trapped in the rubble, who are without power and water and supplies, and they're taking the implements with them that they need to help dig people out.
Former Ecuadorian Army Colonel Robert Carchi Coloma volunteers as a chaplain.
Cierren sus ojos, por favor, vamos a hacer una oración. Bendice los pilotos, conduce, Señor amado, esta nave. En el poderoso nombre de Jesús te doy gracias, Señor. Amen.
The town of Puerto Viejo is a bit inland, but it's still near the epicenter of the quake. And around this city, there are thousands of people who are sleeping out of doors tonight, and that's not necessarily because they've lost their homes. Their homes might still be standing, but because there have been more than 50 aftershocks from this quake in the first 24 hours, these people say they're afraid to sleep indoors.
Nancy Zambrano and her family are among those who are taking advantage of this safe place to sleep.
Over there isn't any electricity or water. Food is running out and people are crying because they are running out of everything. There are so many people dead, some still trapped in buildings. I am very afraid. We had to leave with just the clothes on our back.
As soon as it ended, my first thought was for my family.
Mario Zambrano was at work downtown when the quake struck.
And I ran out. I jumped on my bike and rushed home, which took about 15 minutes. Those were 15 minutes of darkness, of disaster, buildings falling over, many people crying out for help, cars crashed, people trapped on their balconies begging for help. Those were the worst moments of my life. While I was riding, I thought the worst things a person could think. That my house had fallen down, that everyone was dead. I thought of my son, but thank God, when I arrived, I saw my family outside. I saw my wife and my mother, and I called to them from far away. And I gave thanks to God that they are okay, because He let me see them one more time. Then we got back together and went to look for a refuge, and that was here.
And Nancy has an important message for her Christian brothers and sisters in the United States.
Please pray. Pray and help us with food, water, help the people of my country.
From Puerto Viejo, Ecuador, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
The Government Accountability Office has announced plans to investigate the federal funding of Planned Parenthood. Congress members Diane Black and Pete Olson and Senator David Vitter requested the investigation. They say taxpayers should not be forced to see their money used to perform abortions. The latest investigation is one of many efforts to defund Planned Parenthood after videos released last summer revealed the potential illegal sale of baby body parts. Conservative Supreme Court justices expressed sharp skepticism about President Obama's immigration orders Monday. The High Court is deciding if the president overstepped his constitutional authority by taking action to keep millions of illegal immigrants inside the U.S. Jennifer Wishon was at the court for Monday's Showdown.
A case affecting more than 4 million immigrants living in the U.S. illegally now rests in the hands of 8 justices on the Supreme Court. Several years ago, President Obama issued executive orders that deferred the deportations of illegal immigrants whose children are U.S. citizens or living in the country legally. Texas is leading 26 states that sued the Obama administration. They argue the president doesn't have authority to unilaterally change immigration law. At the time, the president said he was acting because Congress failed to do so. Both sides emerged from court feeling confident.
The fact is that millions of people live in the United States in the shadows, and they drive. They should drive with driver's licenses and with insurance. The fact is millions of people in the United States work. They should work and pay taxes.
There is no question that for 60 years, from President Eisenhower to the present, presidents have used executive actions on immigration time and time again.
If we allow a president, whether it's this president or a future president, no matter what their political persuasion or their party, to make changes in the law without congressional approval, then we will end up with a perverted constitution.
This case has always been about the separation of powers. And what DAPA does is it transforms unlawful conduct into lawful conduct. And I think if the executive, the president, has the power to do that, I think that should trouble every American. Because it's Congress's power. We have the separation of powers in our country to protect our liberties, and that's what this lawsuit was about.
The court is expected to issue its ruling in June based on oral arguments Monday. Justices appear divided in the case. Immigration, of course, has been a hot topic in the primary contest, and the court's ruling is sure to play a major role in the presidential election. Reporting from CBN's Washington newsroom, I'm Jennifer Wishon.
Thank you, Jennifer. A tragic milestone dating all the way back to World War II. The remains of some Jewish citizens murdered by Nazis have finally been laid to rest. As Dale Hurd reports, the bones were found in the Danube River in Budapest, Hungary, 5 years ago.
The victims are believed to have been among the many Hungarian Jews who were shot on the banks of the Danube River or had their bodies dumped there by pro-Nazi militiamen toward the end of World War II. The bones were discovered 5 years ago during construction work on a bridge. The government intended to bury the bones in a city cemetery, but the Jewish community objected. They had the remains DNA tested, which proved the bones were likely of Ashkenazi Jews, and the government agreed to give the remains a Jewish burial. Attendees placed pebbles atop a memorial tomb inscribed with the words from Ezekiel, "Son of man, shall these bones revive?" Rabbi Peter Kardos, a Holocaust survivor, said the funeral was for him really hard, since I am one of the few who saw all these events happening 72 years ago. Under the Nazi-allied government, thousands of Hungarian Jews were murdered in Budapest, and nearly 80,000 were expelled from Hungary in a death march to the Austrian border. The words read, "They were killed by hatred. May their memories be kept by love." Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Coming up, a huge joint exercise with a top U.S. ally in the Pacific. See what the U.S. military is up to and what it has to do with China. About 5,000 U.S. troops recently joined forces with those from the Philippines for a large-scale military exercise. The longtime allies insist the event is not a direct response to China's growing aggression in its territorial claims in the West Philippine Sea. But the Philippines is clearly intent on improving its defense capabilities. Lucille Toulousan has the story.
This amphibious landing to secure Philippine territory is one simulated scenario in joint military exercises between the U.S. and Philippine armed forces. Called Balikatan, in Filipino it means standing shoulder to shoulder or sharing the load together. It's done regularly as part of the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty. A main feature of the exercise is the use of sophisticated 21st century weaponry, like this new mobile rocket launcher system. and new jets and planes which the Philippines may need to use against China as it continues to flex its muscles in the region.
The MB-22 aircraft of the U.S. Air Force has just landed, and this is the kind of equipment that will be used to enhance the capabilities of the defense system of the armed forces of the Philippines.
The joint war games came just before possible UN tribunal decision on the Philippines' challenge to Chinese territorial claims. In recent months, China has built massive structures, radar systems, and airstrips over contested reefs and outcrops, which the Philippines says belongs to them. That's because they are situated within its 270 nautical mile exclusive zone that is recognized by international law. Although Philippine and U.S. officials insist that the Balikatan exercises are not a response to China's aggression in the West Philippine Sea, analysts see the exercise as preparations to confront China if necessary.
The presence of our friends from the United States is one of course, a big help to our country when it comes to deterrence to the actions of China at the West Philippine Sea.
What kind of commitment can we get from the U.S.?
Ironclad. The President came out here and said that about 3 months ago. He said the alliance and the relationship is ironclad. You can count on it. There's a lot riding on making sure that we're secure, that security in this region continues.
The Philippines is increasing its military engagements with the U.S. under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. It's part of President Barack Obama's plan to reassert American influence not only in the Philippines but throughout the Asian Pacific. Lucille Telusan, CBN News, Antique, Philippines.
Up next, think you can't get in shape? Well, that's your first mistake. Celebrity trainer Joel Harper shows you how to train your brain to lose weight. You know, it seems everyone has gone on a diet and started an exercise plan at one time or another. Well, starting is the easy part. The hard part is sticking with it. As Lori Johnson shows us, the key to improving your body is found in your mind.
For 20 years, celebrity trainer Joel Harper has helped high-profile clients lose weight and stay in shape. He says the #1 tool to get and stay there is the right attitude.
Many people don't realize it, but we're always talking to ourselves about ourselves, not out loud, but up here. And whether that self-talk is positive or negative often determines whether we succeed or fail at our diet and exercise program.
In his book, Mind Your Body, Harper says we must identify our own thoughts.
It's so important that I get all my clients to focus on that first. Some are like, no, I just want to work out. And I'm like, great, we're going to work out. But you've got to tap into the power of the mind and what your thoughts are doing. We play these thoughts. We have 70,000 a day. Let's say if you have 10% of those are negative, that's 7,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of negative thoughts.
Harper says it helps to express your thoughts out loud.
So while they're working out, I get them to talk out loud, and I ask them these questions. And one of them is like, how are you feeling right now? And like, oh, I don't really want to do this. It feels really uncoordinated. I've never done it before. I have horrible balance. And I'm like, there you go.
The fix? Reverse those statements.
But also with your positive affirmations and your positive thoughts, what are you doing with those? You know, are they just like something you'll say like, oh, I'm going to do, or something, you know, that is positive, but it's in the future? I tell all my clients to make it in the present moment and really have thoughts that are like, I am doing it now. So it brings it into the present and makes you accomplish it today.
Here's one way to go. Try changing "I'm so fat" to "I lose weight easily and swiftly."
Or how about this one? I eat nutrient-dense food while keeping an eye on portion size.
For example, raw nuts are a smart snack, but also high in calories, so only eat 1 handful a day. Harper says a good rule to follow is when filling your plate, make sure none of the items are touching. Also, remember one of the most neglected ways to nourish your body.
I cannot tell you how many people come to me and they're dehydrated just because they haven't had enough water. Their back's tightening up, they're not feeling their best, they're getting lethargic, all because they're dehydrated.
To get the right amount, divide your weight in half. That's the number of ounces you should drink each day. Spread out, not all at once. Harper recommends daily exercise and don't worry about time or money for a health club.
It's great if you do that, but you can do amazing workouts using your body as your gym.
Resistance training builds muscle, which fortifies our bones and speeds up metabolism.
I can really feel this in my shoulders.
Yeah, it works.
And you don't even need weights. That's amazing.
Harper combines resistance training with balance drills.
So when you do these balancing exercises, one side's going to be harder than the other side, but with time, if you do it over and over again, they're going to balance out and they're going to get much easier.
Okay.
Good balance helps avoid falling. In addition to strength and balance, Harper recommends elevating the heart rate.
13, 12, 11, you got 10 and 9, breathe, 8 and 7 and 6, 5, those are perfect, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good job, switch sides, let's go, left leg back.
That's a cardio
and let's
workout.
go.
Finally, remember to stretch to manage pain, especially in the back, legs, and hips. This stretch opens the chest and improves posture. This one alleviates the neck tension that often leads to headaches.
I could stay here all day. This feels so good.
Good, start doing it.
Because I actually sit in front of a computer a lot.
So take it from the expert. A moderate amount of nutritious food combined with strength, balance, cardio, and stretching will help you reach and maintain your goals. And remember, believe you can do it.
Great workout.
Yeah, woo!
That will do the body good.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
It is time for your Tweetable Tuesday message, and here's a word you can share. I will praise him with all my heart, knowing the God I serve serves me more than I will ever be able to serve him. That is an amazing truth. The bottom line is our God calls us to serve, and he is the greatest example of that service. Embrace the word, serve someone today, and make this a terrific Tuesday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. We'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do it on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Make it a terrific Tuesday. See you tomorrow.